Nowadays, it is becoming more and more normal for people to be into self-growth, read books that talk about it, and also just try to simply live a happier life. Habits play a huge role in that, and there is so much information out there on why and also how good habits can change your life for the better. And I would totally agree with that. Every time I start a habit and I consciously make it part of my daily life consistently, I always feel better and enjoy life more. But for me, these habits can kind of change over time. I might go a few months with really enjoying going for a walk in the morning, and then that might change to me enjoying reading in the morning. But there is one habit that I have really consistently committed to for at least 5 or 6 years, I would say. And this habit has just become part of my life and who I am. I can't imagine that ever changing. It hasn't changed in the last years, and I don't think it will ever change. And that habit is exactly what I would like to talk about in this video. We live in an absolutely crazy world. There are a lot of beautiful things, but also a lot of horrible things. But we also live in a world that is mostly focused on the horrible things more than the beautiful ones. If you watch the news, it's pretty much only about the things that are going wrong. In conversations, we mostly bring up our problems or disasters first, and then if there's time, we will talk about something else. We remember the negative things that happen to us in our life for years to come, but the positive things are mostly easily forgotten. If you think about it, the negatives are pretty much always more present, louder, and stronger. And that's not to say that the horrible things are not horrible, but it is to say that the beautiful things most of the times go under in all of that. So the big reveal, my one habit that I'm talking about, is gratitude, and also simply just always focusing on the positive more than the negative. So I've thought about a few questions that I thought some people might have regarding this topic of practicing gratitude and also positivity, some misconceptions, and also how to really implement it in your own life. And I would like to answer these questions now. The first question is, why even practice gratitude? Why not just stay the way the world and most people operate? I think that's a self-explanatory question, but practicing gratitude makes you feel better, and through that you live a happier life. So it's kind of as easy as that. And I think that's a personal choice. There is no right or wrong. The next question is it naive or not true to reality to always try to focus on the positives more than the negatives? I would strongly disagree. I think it's not about not seeing the negatives, which I think many people misunderstand, especially people who don't approach life this way tend to accuse people who do that their approach is naive or not true to reality. For me, it's more about choosing my battles wisely. Sometimes things happen in our life that are hard, and where in that moment we can't see the positives in that, and that's totally fine. I have a video on the importance of sadness, so if you want to watch it, I will link it now. But a lot of the times, the things we focus on in a negative way are shitty and they are real, but they shouldn't deserve all the attention that they get, to the point where so many of the other beautiful things go under in it. So it's more about generally focusing on the good in the world and in life and in people, and of course when a storm comes our way, not just being like, okay, sorry, this storm doesn't exist, I'm in my positivity. Of course, being able to function in that storm. But if a situation is not a storm and it's just a little bit windy, let's say, then we don't need to create a storm out of that situation, if that makes sense. The third question is how to deal with phases in our life, or maybe situations that are hard, and how to apply gratitude and positivity in those moments. I think gratitude can be applied in every single situation, because you can always go to fundamental things such as I'm grateful for even being alive or breathing, but we can't always go there, and it's just not possible sometimes, and that's also okay and to be respected. For example, last year I had a scooter accident on Bali that was really horrible for me, and in that moment or the weeks after, I was obviously not able to see any positives in that situation or feel any gratitude for anything, because I was still shocked and traumatized by what happened. But now, over a year later, I'm able to go back to that scenario and think about, okay, what am I grateful for? I'm grateful for the fact that someone saw me immediately and was able to help me. I'm grateful for the fact that there was a doctor nearby, and also think about which lessons did I learn from that? How did that situation make me into a better person? So that's really something that has to be individually felt. If the situation is too hard where you just don't want to go there, or you might take a few weeks or years, it really doesn't matter. It's completely personal. But I am always very inspired when I see people who are grateful and have a positive outlook in situations where I feel like I I wouldn't be able to. And that always pushes me to reconsider the moments where I maybe thought, okay, no, I can't be grateful in that, I can't be positive for anything in that, that was just simply horrible, and kind of pushes me to reconsider that maybe I can do that more than I thought. A big example of that is a friend of mine named Mo. Over the years, he decided to adopt 6 more children, even though he already had 2 who were living on the street and were homeless and had no family, and decided to take them in. He only earns very little money and lives in very, very basic living conditions with his family. It was of course very difficult for him to support 2 children and a wife with the little money that he was making, but on top of that, he now had 8 children and his wife to take care of with no support from the outside. But on top of that, I have never ever in my life met anyone who radiates so much positivity and so much gratitude. So if you need motivation to be positive in a situation that is difficult for you at the moment, I highly suggest you watch the interview that I did with him. The next question is how to deal with people who don't agree with this approach. I think the minute you start approaching life with more gratitude and more positivity, people who don't function that way might not enjoy your company as much as they did before, because you're not on the same wavelength and they might feel like you don't understand them. For me, it's important to still always keep my integrity. Just because I'm choosing to approach life like that and live life like that doesn't mean that other people do that as well. And if someone is choosing not to and is maybe extremely negative, that's still to be respected, because to each their own. For me, it's more like if both people can respect each other, then it's not a problem. If you can't respect me and this is making me feel happier and live a happier life, then that's none of my business and you can exit right there. And then my last question, how to really apply gratitude and positivity in your life. For me, I felt like because you're kind of trained to think that way, which means seeing the negatives more than the positive, it was not enough for me to just say like, okay, I'm gonna be more positive now, I'm gonna be more grateful now, and then just leave it at that. I personally write down what I'm grateful for every single day. Sometimes they're bigger things, sometimes they're smaller things, but there's always something that can be said, even if it's just the fresh air outside or the fact that the sun came up. I don't always manage to do it every single day, so if I miss a few days or I forget them, I will always go back and catch those days up. So that's something I do every single day, no matter what. But then I try to do more than just that, especially in moments that don't feel good or positive, because I think that's exactly where it will have the biggest impact. When I'm fighting with someone, I will write down 10 things I appreciate about them. When I'm in a situation that feels very difficult or negative, I will think about things that I'm learning in that situation. They say a habit takes 21 days until it becomes part of you. So if you're just starting out, I would recommend that you write down 10 things you're grateful for every single day for 21 days, and then you see where you are after that and what kind of inspires you or what you want to do next. And over time, when you do this more and more, it starts to become just part of you and what you do, and it feels more natural because you're actually retraining your brain away from how most people operate, and I think you live happier that way. At least I have to say that I live happier this way. So this is all for this video on gratitude and positivity. I really hope that you enjoyed. If you did, make sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe, check out some other videos of mine as usual. And yeah, I really hope that you enjoyed. Thank you very much for watching.